Thank you for tuning in to ICT on PNC, a podcast covering issues that impact the Texas insurance industry. The Insurance Council of Texas is a nonprofit trade association serving the property and casualty insurance industry. We're proud to be the largest state-based insurance trade association in North America. Welcome to ICT on PNC.
Hello, everyone. This is Camille Garcia. I'm the Director of Communications and Public Affairs with the Insurance Council of Texas, and I am excited today to welcome to our podcast John Metz. He's the meteorologist in charge at the National Weather Service here in Corpus Christi, Texas. And, as we enter hurricane season, which officially started June 1st and goes through November, we are so anxious and excited to hear what's on tap for the next few months. John's going to give us an overview, talk about everything that is hurricanes, and as we move through his session, I will be asking him some questions regarding this year, what happened last year, and what can we expect as we move forward in these following months. John, welcome to ICT on PNC, and why don't you tell us what can we expect from the 2021 hurricane season?
Well, thank you. I appreciate you inviting me to the program today. We are expecting another busy hurricane season, anywhere from 13 to 20 named storms in the Atlantic Hurricane Basin, which includes the Gulf of Mexico. 6 to 10 could become hurricanes, with 3 to 5 major hurricanes possible. That means categories 3, 4, or 5. So it looks like a busy season. It shouldn't compare with last year, which was a record hurricane season where we had 30 named storms. So that was an all-time record. This year we're predicting up to 20 named storms. But still, that's active, and it means that we need to be ready here on the Texas coast.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we're looking at 2020 and 2021, it's a relief to kind of hear that the season might not be quite as active as last year. But even with 30 named storms in 2020, 13 of which became hurricanes, generally speaking, much of Texas was pretty well spared from some direct catastrophic hits. Now, I don't want to minimize that, because some of our neighbors in Orange and in that area really did get hit last year. But for the most part, there wasn't that catastrophic hit that we had thought, something like a Harvey, right? Do you suspect we'll be that lucky this year?
Camille, it is impossible to know what this year brings, really more than 7 days out from landfall. So, that's why we tell folks to be ready every year, as if this could be our year for a major hurricane. So, without that ability, the science just isn't there yet to be able to predict when exactly and where a storm's going to strike. Then that means we need to be prepared in the same way every season, because really the probabilities of being impacted in your area are the same every year. But with more active seasons, and this year is predicted to be, more active than normal, with more potential hits on your coastlines, then, the odds may be a little bit higher. So, all that being said, folks should be concerned. It's hurricane season. We're right on the Gulf Coast. We are at risk, from a potential storm, every season, and we need to be prepared.
Yeah, absolutely. So I know you're in charge of looking at the, at this space from your chair there in Corpus Christi. So as you're looking at the entire, the exposure that we have on the Gulf Coast, is there any particular area of the Gulf Coast is more exposed or more vulnerable than other areas that we need to take a look at?
So, the Texas coast in general is pretty low elevation. We face a storm surge risk along the entire Texas coast. And so, that's one of the greatest threats a hurricane presents is storm surge. In fact, more lives are lost from storm surge than any other hazard. Of course, when you're on the barrier island, you're basically at sea level. And so you have very little protection. When you're on the barrier island and the storm is approaching and that storm surge builds up, in advance of the storm, and then you have large waves on top of that. And so that storm surge can be very destructive, can be deadly. And so it's important to know, do I live in a surge zone? Check to see if you live in a storm surge zone. And those maps are available online. In fact, if you just go to our website at weather.gov/Corpus Christi, and at the bottom of the page, click on the storm surge maps, you can look at the entire U.S. coastline and see if you are in a surge zone. And if so, I recommend two things. If an evacuation is called for your area, heed those evacuation orders. And number two, I would highly recommend flood insurance as well.
Thank you for that. That's such a perfect segue. Here we are, Insurance Council of Texas, and we are really do advocate and try to be the voice to remind folks the importance of having proper insurance. And sometimes memories fade, right? And so you pass the season and you think, you know what, do I really need to spend money on flood insurance? Do I really need to shop my policy? And right now it is so important. We still have an opportunity to take a look at your home insurance, wind, flood, to make sure that especially those residents along the Gulf Coast who are so vulnerable to all these major weather events are protected. So right now is the time to have that conversation with your agent. Make sure that you know what kind of coverage you have. Make sure that you know that you are covered properly and for all the situations that can possibly hit when it comes to hurricane season. Right now the private market covers and writes wind insurance along the coast at a rate of about 60%. We also write auto insurance, commercial property insurance. So we really are there present along the coast, making sure that our Texas residents are covered. So shop your policy. Helpinsure.com is a great resource. But aside from, looking at your financial, protecting your family, do you have any other tips or recommendations, John, as we enter into this season?
Absolutely. So there's a few steps everyone should take, to prepare for this season. Number one, you kind of mentioned it, make sure your home is prepared for the storm. That means make sure that every window and door and garage door has some type of protection. So that means a plywood storm shutter, professional shutter, whatever it is that you have, make sure that your home is prepared for the wind that a storm could bring. Because once the wind breaks through a single opening, a window or a door breaks in the heat of the storm, then most often you have a total loss. The wind comes into the home,
Wow.
it takes the roof off the property, and then you're fully exposed to all the elements. And so make sure your home or business is buttoned up, and you have a plan for that in the event that we have a storm that approaches the Texas coast. Number two, make sure you have supplies you need as far as food and water, non-perishable food items, your medicines. So go shopping, get all those supplies that you need. Do it now while there's plenty of supplies in the stores. There's no long lines, and you have the time. You can use coupons, you can shop sales. Take advantage of this time while it's quiet to get all that shopping done. Number three, like you said, I recommend folks check their insurance and make sure you are prepared. And if you're considering flood insurance, be aware it takes 30 days for that to go into effect. And then finally, plan your evacuation. Know where you're going to go and how you're going to get there. And so it takes some time to plan that out. Talk to your family and make sure everyone knows what the family plan is should an evacuation order be called for your area.
Great. Really appreciate that, John. We can't underscore the importance of preparation. Preparation is key to protect yourself tomorrow. And while sometimes, insurance and home preparation and taking those extra steps is, falls to the back of our to-do list, this is a perfect time to make that top of the list. As we're looking at hurricane season, we have a lot of time. So it kicked off June 1st, right? We have through November. So let's make sure that, even if we haven't done something yet, let's make sure that, take those steps today to prepare for tomorrow and keep us all safe tomorrow. Hey, John, it was really great speaking with you today. Any last words that you'd like to share about the National Weather Service or additional resources or sites we can go to?
Yeah, thanks so much, Camille, for inviting me to the program today. I just to keep track of the weather throughout this hurricane season, go right to the official source at hurricanes.gov. That's hurricane with an S, .gov, the National Hurricane Center. So they're going to be showing you all the latest forecasts and tracks for any storm that could threaten the Texas coast. Our local National Weather Service office here in Corpus Christi, weather.gov/Corpus Christi, a great resource, and we'll provide detailed information on how a storm could impact us, the timing of the wind and the storm surge, and how much rain and flooding we could have. So those are two great websites to keep track of, bookmark on your home computer or on your smart device, and then stay safe for this hurricane season.
Excellent advice. Thank you again, John. Thank you to the National Weather Service, and I'm sure we'll be talking soon.
Thank you for listening to this edition of ICT on PNC. Find us online at insurancecouncil.org for more information about our organization or about the property and casualty insurance industry in Texas.